From finding the right thing to cure that toothache, to the interesting collections of souvenirs from the Amazon, here are creepy things that used to be normal in the past.
Hey guys, this is American Eye, bringing you another great video.
Number 14, the Gilbert U238 Atomic Energy Lab. Science kits seem like a fun way for kids to learn about scientific things. This one, however, wasn't your ordinary scientific kit. It's not every day that kids get to play with uranium ore. This kit from the 1950s actually contained a radioactive substance that could potentially be converted into plutonium. This was a hazardous material that was found in the kit that also contained a Geiger counter, an electroscope, and a comic book teaching them how to perform the experiments. Luckily, the product wasn't on shelves very long. Number 13. Curing the mentally ill. Many patients out there suffer from experimental treatments such as electroshock therapy. This basically meant they would put people to sleep, then electrocute their brain, causing seizures. Surprisingly, electroshock therapy is still being used, but not quite as extensively. Another procedure that would be more shocking to us modern folks would be lobotomies. This procedure includes an ice pick through the side of the eye in order to alter the person's frontal lobe. This normally resulted them in becoming less mentally disturbed, but basically like a mindless zombie. What's even crazier about this practice was that the person who came up with this treatment actually won a Nobel Prize. And the last one was actually performed in 1967, which ended in a fatality. Number 12. Shrunken head collections. Everyone loves to collect random things, whether it's Pokemon cards or comic books. Many people have specific interests. This photo here is 100% real and is a strange collection of rare shrunken heads. This really doesn't seem like a photo this guy wants to hang up on his wall. The practice of creating shrunken heads originates from the Amazon rainforest, where isolated tribes would do this to their enemies. It was thought that by doing this, the enemy's spirits wouldn't be able to haunt them in the afterlife. When Westerners came across these shrunken heads, it created a huge demand for them globally. The British, in an attempt to get more, wisely supplied the tribe with guns in exchange for more shrunken heads. Number 11. Mummy salesman. It wasn't just shrunken heads that were on sale on the black market during these times. The popularity of mummies and Egyptology was at an all-time high in the early 1870s. Many people believe that crushed up mummies was some kind of cure for ailments, especially arthritis. Although not everyone would like to admit, there were a large number of cannibals in Europe due to this practice. This man in Egypt was hoping to make a quick buck by selling the corpse of an ancient Egyptian. Many mummies were destroyed throughout this period of history, and who knows which mummies of important pharaohs were eaten. This practice takes back as far as the 1500s, but reimagine it stopped today. Number 10. Freak shows. Although occasionally we can see unique people at sideshows across the US doing unbelievable things, nothing was quite as unsensitive as the freak shows back in the early 1900s. The Muse brothers were both albino despite their African roots, but treated as some type of sideshow attraction in the past. They were both kidnapped from their homes in Virginia and given new names, Eco and Echo. Echo and Eco, the cannibalistic ambassadors from Mars, and in some cases, Ecuador. The brothers eventually got used to the lifestyle and signed a deal with the Ringling Brothers. 28 years later, as the boys began gaining fame, they were recognized by their mother due to their rare condition. In a different case, this woman we see here also worked at a sideshow, and her name was Grace McDaniels. But while working for the circus, she went by the name of the Mule Face Woman. Number 9. Calling someone on the phone. Remember back way long ago when people had phones that didn't send text messages? You might have even had a notebook full of phone numbers written down on a piece of paper to help you make calls. Such a dark, scary past. Yes, during this time, people were only able to directly call you, and you'd have to actually talk to them. Oh yeah, and instead of writing LOL, you would actually laugh, like in real life. At this point in time, you might not have had caller ID, so maybe you would have had to answer the phone for someone you didn't even like. People would often prank call each other because there was no way of knowing who it was unless you star 69 them. Number 8. Coca Cola treatment. Coca Cola was invented in 1886 by John Pemberton. It was supposed to be the first brain tonic that actually worked. It helps you out with concentration and can help you focus on your work. He took certain ingredients from the cola nut as a source of caffeine, and the other extremely controversial ingredient that wouldn't be legal to this day. That's right, Coca Cola contained cocaine up until 1903 in varying amounts. Coca Cola to this day still hopes to give people that jolt of energy, but with caffeine instead of cocaine. One ingredient in particular was used for toothaches as well, headaches, nervousness, throat troubles, etc. No one really had any idea how addictive this special ingredient truly was. Number 7. The electric corset. Some ladies out there might seem a little electrifying in a corset, but that's not what we're talking about. Other crazy things for sale back in these times were electric corsets, which were supposedly to cure things such as bronchitis, shortness of breath, liver problems, asthma, you name it. Other things such as the electric belt and electric hairbrush were both popular items at this time. The electric corsets were indeed on sale for both men and women, but they definitely had different sales pitches. For women, it would improve posture and make them more beautiful and elegant looking. For men, it would make their back stronger and cure impotence. Number 6. Foot binding. Foot binding is a painful practice of wearing extremely tight shoes at a young age to prevent any further growth. The Chinese most commonly practiced this, and it wasn't until the early 1900s when it began to lose popularity. Women in the country found it to be the only way to keep their feet from becoming too large. Some cases are just mind-boggling when the size of a shoe is only 3 inches. In severe cases, women would lose complete circulation to their toes and they would have to be amputated. Don't judge though, wearing high heels in our culture is just as ridiculous if you think about it. Here in this photo, we see the difference between normal and bound feet. Number 5. Goldfish swallowing. Although in some places, people do still enjoy eating live fish, but a very strange fad was catching on in 1939, which involved people swallowing live goldfish. It became such a bizarre trend that people were known to swallow as many as 10 to 15 live goldfish at one time. Towns were horrified by it and made laws stating that it would be illegal for anyone to partake in such peculiar behavior. Many of us probably wouldn't even imagine eating one live goldfish. Some say the unofficial record was 150 goldfish total. That's a lot of protein wiggling around in your stomach. It's believed that the first time this happened was by a Harvard freshman who made a bet with his colleagues for $10. Number 4. Leech Treatment. Leeches are often found in swampy marsh areas of primarily freshwater environments. They can also easily attach to you if you decide to swim in the wrong lake. Many types of leeches exist, each one having suckers at the end, ready to suck your blood. Surprisingly, these were used as medicinal creatures to suck out infected people and cure them. The practice of using leeches can be traced to ancient Egypt, but the demand for leeches went through the roof in the 1800s. The French were using them so much that it's estimated that nearly 40 million of them were imported for medicinal purposes. This was a practice known as bloodletting, and it could occur for something as simple as a sore throat or a fever. Some believe that George Washington was absolutely covered in leeches on his deathbed, and he could have possibly survived his illness if it wasn't for the excessive leech usage. Number 3. Tapeworms. People have been known to purposely ingest eggs of tapeworms to lose weight. These would come in a pill form, and they believe that tapeworms would just eat off all the fat. Although taking them may cause a little bit of weight loss, it also causes severe malnutrition and horrible stomach aches. Probably better to just stay overweight than taking one of these. These parasites are found in cows and can affect humans unintentionally by eating undercooked beef or pork products. If you get the urge to buy these eggs online, it's highly recommended you back out right away and start losing weight the normal way. Number 2. Hysteria. A once common medical diagnosis, which was only found in women, was known as hysteria. This was typically women who might have started off acting differently due to hormonal changes during menopause. According to one doctor, 1 in 4 women had this condition. A wide variety of symptoms included insomnia, lightheadedness, muscle spasms, irritability, and mood swings. Other doctors closely associated this with dissatisfaction with their partner in the bedroom, and regular pelvic massages were needed in order to be cured. The patients kept coming back, and an electrical device was eventually created to help make their job easier. Today, doctors no longer recognize female hysteria as a real condition. Maybe these women were just a little bit crazy and needed some lovin'. And number 1, really weird photography. People in the Victorian age didn't have social media like Facebook or Instagram to post their crazy photos on. But that didn't keep them from coming up with some of the weirdest photos out there. They would pose for what's known as vignettes, where they would wear what they thought were funny costumes, but anyone in modern times probably won't laugh, and they might be slightly scarred. Take this photo for example. These women here in the photo with the bags on their head are actually in a beauty competition. That's right, the contestants are judged not by their face, but just their body. It's like the official Butterface contest. They also began to develop some Photoshop trickery where they could make themselves appear to be headless, like we see in this photo. After taking a look at some of these crazy vignettes, you can probably imagine that you and your friends don't dress up like chickens on Saturday nights, but who knows?